for the first of our Mission Possible sessions, I'd now like to introduce three of this year's judges. Cheryl Kiser, the Exec Director of the Institute for Social Innovation at Babson College. Esther, the Chief Sustainability Officer of City Developments Limited. And Shiv Kumar, the co-founder of the Catalyst Group. They'll be joined by five entrepreneurs: Fahad Ifaz, the co-founder and CEO of iFarmer; Kidus Asfaw, the co-founder and CEO of Kubik; Lieselotte, Heederik, the co-founder and director of Nazava water filters; and Norah Magero, co-founder and CEO of Drop Access. Welcome, everybody. And the floor is now yours. Fahad, over to you.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, everyone. My name is Fahad. I am the co-founder and CEO of iFarmer. iFarmer is an agri-tech company based out of Bangladesh, which is a country with 170 million people, and it is roughly the size of New York. So imagine the pressure on the country to feed this large population, which is supposed to reach about 250 million by 2050. And agriculture is predominantly done by smallholder farmers, and each managing about 2.4 acres of land. So these are really small farmers, and almost 80% of these farmers are unbanked. So they have absolutely no connection with the mainstream financial instruments. And in such situation, they have to access capital for farming at a really high interest rate, which ranges from 25% to all the way to 60% per year. Imagine that amount of interest and then making the little amount of production that they do out of their 2.5 acres of land. So we started the company in 2019 to solve especially the access to finance problem, but then we ventured into access to market, access to input, and advisory problems for the farmers. Now, the real innovation with the access to finance piece, because when we started the company, we went out to banks. All the banks rejected us because we were a startup, not ready to work with large corporates and banks. So we thought, like, how do we source the money that we can channel to the farmers at a very affordable rate? And that's when this idea stuck, because Bangladesh also has a growing middle class population. So they have disposable income in the bank and nowhere to invest. So we thought, why not connect these two diverse groups of people who are demanding food and the group of farmers who are producing food? So we opened up a platform where urban middle class people can invest in farming projects. So we do the due diligence on the farmer. We collect all the data, we monitor these farmers, we create projects or a portfolio of investment that anyone in Bangladesh can go and invest in. And they can earn a return of up to between 15 to 20% per year. Whereas if they keep their money in the bank, that's about 5% per annum. So you can imagine it's a win-win for everyone. And farmers are getting this at something between 15 to 20% interest, as opposed to like 25 to 60, 70%. So that's where we started. Till date, we have financed about $26 million since 2019 till today. We work with about 80,000 farmers. And we have moved beyond just financing these farmers. We now provide them with access to high quality agriculture inputs, advisory. We use satellite images and sensors, as well as physical training for these farmers to uptake good agriculture practices. And then because we have all the data of who's producing what and when are they going to harvest, so we connect these farmers to the buyers. We are a for-profit company. Last year, we did a revenue of about $10 million. This year, we are going to do a revenue of about $50 million. So that is all about iFarmer. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Fahad. And with 30 seconds to spare, you're setting the standard. Can I now invite our judges, Cheryl, Esther, and Shiv, back to stage for your questions and feedback. Shiv, maybe if we can come to you first.
Fantastic. I think lovely to hear this. We do something very similar in India, and it's so resonating what you spoke. I had two questions for you. One is, how do you explain your your business to a farmer? I mean, I would love to hear it in Bengali because I understand it, but I want everybody to understand. So it would be lovely. How do you put this across to one of your customers, farmers? And the second question I had is, what about defaults? How do you handle that?
Right. Thank you so much, Shiv. So first question, the answer to the first question, how do we explain our services to the farmers? So we basically pitch to the farmers that we're a one-stop solution for them. So they don't have to deal with 4 or 5 different stakeholders when it comes to financing, buying inputs, then selling their products and getting advisory. So this becomes like a one-stop place for them to get all these services, and the rates are cheaper, right? When the interests are lower, they get a better price when they sell through us, and we work with them throughout the journey. So we're not just a financing company who gives money, then comes back after 5, 4, 6 months to collect the money. We are there throughout the journey till harvest, until they sell their products. And that is also the answer to your second question, the default. So we have less than 1% of default. And again, the reason is we're not just a financing company. So farmers find that they have more to lose if they don't pay back, because it's not just financing that they're getting. There's advisory as simple as weather alerts, right? And then other trainings and satellite-based advisory services, and they can sell their products through us. So that gives that builds a very strong trust and relationship with the farmers. So that's sort of so that relationship and the whole being with the farmer throughout their journey helps us to also get such low default rate.
Thank you. Cheryl, over to you.
This is wonderful. Thank you very much. The question I have is, what is the image of your business in 3 years, and what is a major challenge to getting there?
So 3 years. So currently we work with about 80,000 farmers. In 3 years' time, we want to reach about 500,000 farmers. So we want to scale pretty fast. The main challenge is that farmers still in Bangladesh, in general, smartphone and internet penetration is still low. And in rural communities, especially in farming communities, it's even lower. So that's one of the main challenges, because we do have smart apps in smartphones that farmers can just apply for a loan. They can upload their data that based on which we generate a score for every farmer, but they're not doing it themselves. So we use an assisted model where we have agents who do it on behalf of the farmer. And that is one of the main challenges. And we're currently in talk with financial institutions and telcos to sort of bundle smartphone and data pack for the farmers so that they can also adopt technology faster, and that helps us to scale faster.
Great, thank you.
Esther, we have 40 seconds for your
okay, very quickly. I mean, it is really great to bridge the have and have not. And will you have a dream to bring it, to overseas, to tap onto overseas, possible lenders as well?
Yes, absolutely. So right now I'm in Cambodia. We're actually exploring the opportunity in other regional markets with similar context, because there are about 400 million smallholder farmers around the world. Even in Asia, there's almost about 200, 300 million farmers, and almost 70-60% are smallholders. So definitely that's one of the dream to take into other countries.
I hope your dream will come true.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Fahad. That was brilliant, and thank you, guys. So our next entrepreneur who'll be presenting is Kidus Asfaw from Kubik. So over to you, Kidus.
Thanks for having me, and hello, everyone. My name is Kidus Asfaw. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kubik, based here in Nairobi, Kenya. So I'll talk to you a little bit about cities in Africa. Africa is the fastest growing continent. It's the fastest growing young continent as well. Just in a few decades, it's going to be larger than China and India combined by population. But I think the one thing people neglect to realize is that Africa is also urbanizing super fast. There's over 78 cities on the continent that have over 1 million people in it. Next slide, please. So this brings 2 issues. The first one is trash. Municipalities are overburdened by the growing amount of waste that these people that live in cities have are consuming and throwing away. On the continent, 60 million tons of plastic waste goes unrecycled every single year. And this photo that you see is in the city that I grew up in, Addis, where there was even an avalanche because of this mounting pressure. Next slide, please. The other challenge that people do not talk about is the demand for housing and for decent infrastructure is not being fulfilled. For every 10 houses that are needed on the continent, only 3 are being built. And the reason for this is super simple. It's expensive, and real estate developers are expected to fulfill this gap. And granted that material costs are really high, granted that there are incentives not to be building in cities, makes it really difficult to fulfill this demand. So myself and my co-founder, Penda, who is a serial entrepreneur in construction, between the two of us, we've been to over 50 countries and worked there. And we started to think to ourselves, what can we do about this? And this is when we were in UNICEF and decided to start its first circular economy project that turned plastic waste into schools. Next slide, please. After seeing the incredible value that this project brought, we start to think about how do we scale this, and are there other companies that are doing it? When we realized the potential of companies that exist will never be scalable, we took matters into our own hands, and that's when we created Kubik. Kubik makes low carbon, low cost building materials from hard to recycle plastic waste. But what makes us commercially viable and scalable is our price point. We're super cheap, we're very fast to build with, but we're also removing the type of stuff nobody else is recycling. For every square meter of wall that we build, there's 66 kilos of this waste that we're able to remove. But we're also contributing to the fight against climate change. Compared to cement-based materials, we are 5 times less polluting. Next slide, please. And our business model is focused on where our value addition is, which is making this incredible product. So we actually are able to work with an ecosystem of recyclers and real estate developers to meet this demand gap around housing, around affordable infrastructure. Next slide. And we have very, very big plans. We are already in our first launch market, Ethiopia, and planning to grow very fast. And by 2040, we want to be a contributor of at least 1 gigatons of greenhouse gas emissions that we can avoid as Earth. We want to be removing 40 million tons of hard to recycle plastic waste. But we also want to be addressing the housing gap, which is now at 300 million globally, and at least make a dent on it. All this comes with our value for empowering women and creating at least 100,000 jobs along the way. Next slide. This is not only being done by Penda itself. We have some incredible team members that have equal conviction and incredible experience from all over the world that are working with us to make this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Kidus. Nicely done. So to invite our judges back, and Esther, I think you should start, given this is close to the...
Yes, this is our core business, yes, as a developer in Singapore. Of course, I mean, I really like this idea. And in fact, at COP, we just share about, circular economy solutions and in the race to net zero. So I really love this idea. But I think if you want to, expand it, to scale it for overseas market, for example, more developed economy, the aesthetic is also important. Do you ever think of, looking at that? And of course, the safety and all that, I'm sure you have gone through some of the, safety check. And for high rise, how high do you think it can go, Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a product philosophy to stay as boring as possible. What matters here is that we can be a relatable product to what people are already used to. So for the emerging markets that we are working in, they're used to seeing hollow blocks and cement. So our product looks like that, and that's by design. We also allow our developers to choose what this should look like and what dimensions it should have. So of course, it is non-toxic, it's fire safe, it's structurally incredibly sound, but you can also paint, drywall, you can do all that stuff that developers actually want. So we don't take control of that. We stay boring so that we can deliver very affordable, easily deployable products that they can use. When it comes to application, there's two areas that we actually see this being viable. The first one is single-story structures, which are very prominent throughout the continent. But also when you're thinking about densely populated areas, they're looking at high-rises, anywhere between 10 to 25 stories. So we see our solution being able to replace partitions, non-load-bearing elements of that high-rise. And this is where we're going to be focusing for a while. And just to wrap up on this, our product design and development philosophy is to listen. Real estate developers are our clients, and we want to understand what they want. And over time, our journey will also evolve with their needs.
Wonderful.
Perfect. Cheryl, come to you next.
Yeah, first of all, I love your philosophy, and I love your inclusion of design from how you relate to how you design. What is the biggest challenge? You have really large scaling goals. What's the biggest hurdle you're going to face?
As an early stage company, it's very obvious that fundraising is always difficult, especially in an area that is not that interesting to many investors. Just to give you an idea, from the global capital that comes into Africa right now, 0.5% is focused on the sectors that we care about, which is waste and housing. So this is one tough space. We've actually seen demand and traction not to be an issue. We achieved all of our revenue KPIs within 5 months, which we expected will take 12 months, right? As we scale, though, we also understand our business needs to evolve. We can't be a business that's just making walls or making factories. So we also see this value add of actually licensing our technology so that larger companies in this material space can leverage their existing infrastructure to scale both the impact and the business.
Thank you.
And Shiv, quick comment or question from you.
Kidus, why would you even need capital? Why don't you continue doing the good work and build it out and own it fully?
So our philosophy is doing good is good business, right? So we are commercial first, and impact can be a consequence of that. Where we are right now, as a pre-revenue early stage company, it makes it very difficult to just raise a large amount of CapEx to actually run. But we actually see an opportunity in growth to bring in the likes of development finance institutions that are going to be a lot more interested when we have that larger ask for growth. And we're, of course, having meaningful relationships and conversations with them right now.
Thank you, Kidus. And thank you, guys. That was brilliant. On to our third entrepreneur. Can I introduce Lieselotte Heederik from Nazava Water Filters? The floor is yours, Lisa.
Wonderful.
Perfect. Cheryl, come to you next.
Yeah, first of all, I love your philosophy, and I love your inclusion of design from how you relate to how you design. What is the biggest challenge? You have really large scaling goals. What's the biggest hurdle you're going to face?
As an early stage company, it's very obvious that fundraising is always difficult, especially in an area that is not that interesting to many investors. Just to give you an idea, from the global capital that comes into Africa right now, 0.5% is focused on the sectors that we care about, which is waste and housing. So this is one tough space. We've actually seen demand and traction not to be an issue. We achieved all of our revenue KPIs within 5 months, which we expected will take 12 months, right? As we scale, though, we also understand our business needs to evolve. We can't be a business that's just making walls or making factories. So we also see this value add of actually licensing our technology so that larger companies in this material space can leverage their existing infrastructure to scale both the impact and the business.
Thank you.
And Shiv, quick comment or question from you.
Kidus, why would you even need capital? Why don't you continue doing the good work and build it out and own it fully?
So our philosophy is doing good is good business, right? So we are commercial first, and impact can be a consequence of that. Where we are right now, as a pre-revenue early stage company, it makes it very difficult to just raise a large amount of CapEx to actually run. But we actually see an opportunity in growth to bring in the likes of development finance institutions that are going to be a lot more interested when we have that larger ask for growth. And we're, of course, having meaningful relationships and conversations with them right now.
And thank you, guys. That was brilliant. On to our third entrepreneur. Can I introduce Lieselotte Heederik from Nazava Water Filters? The floor is yours, Lisa.
Globally, more than 2 billion people have water that looks like this, dirty and full of bacteria. As a result, every year, over 525,000 children die of diarrhea. This equals 21 crashed Boeing 747s every week. My name is Lieselotte Heederik. I'm the co-founder of Nazava Water Filters, and we want to stop this silent death by empowering rural mothers, rural families to purify their well, tap, river or rainwater and make it safe to drink. We manufacture these household water filters where you put in your dirty water in the upper container. Then this filter, the containers are equipped with this ceramic filter, which uses a 3-stage filtration process consisting of ceramic, which is impregnated with silver, and then filled with activated carbon to remove the taste, to improve the taste and remove the chemicals in the water. To date, we have sold over 200,000 products in more than 32 different countries, but our primary target markets are Indonesia and Kenya. And our product only costs $40, which of course is more affordable for most of us. However, the rural mothers that we are targeting in Indonesia and in Kenya cannot afford $40 upfront. That's why we have developed partnerships with microfinance institutes that have already built a relationship with those rural mothers. And through these partnerships with the microfinance institutes, now the rural mothers are able to purchase our product in installments. But we are not only selling our product through microfinance institutes, we are also selling our product through resellers, where we actually empower women to sell our product to their friends and their neighbors. And they are empowered because we are on the Kifa platform, and Kifa is an online lending platform in the US. And through crowdfunding, we are able to raise a loan for our female entrepreneurs. We ship the product to them. They are able to sell, and after they've sold, they are repaying back the cost of the product to us. So by partnering with MFIs, we de-risk the upfront cost for the end user, and by partnering with Kifa, we de-risk the loan for our female entrepreneurs. And to date, we have served over 120 female entrepreneurs, mostly in Kenya, and mostly in Indonesia. What's also important to mention is that our filter can purify up to 7,000 liters, which means that it lasts up to 3 years. This makes our product, the Nazava water filter, one of the most durable products currently available for the base of the pyramid. Besides, we're also one of the few products certified by the WHO for bacteria removal. Most rural households at this moment globally don't have any option to treat their water except of boiling. But boiling is done through wood or charcoal, which means they have to chop down forests. And this creates more the desertification and contributes to climate change. With Nazava, we replace the need for boiling the water on wood. We also do not need any electricity because we use gravity. And as we replace the need for boiling the water on wood, we also generate carbon credits. Yeah, so that's an additional revenue stream to subsidize the cost for the end user. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. That was great. And bringing back our judges. If Cheryl, we can start with you this time.
Yeah, congratulations, Lisette. This is wonderful. I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm curious about what is your image of your business in 3 years and what's going to help you get there?
Yeah, so it's not 3 years, it's 20. So by 2030, we aim to be the global one leader for household water filters for the base of the pyramid, impacting 10 million people. So within 3 years, we're going to be around 8 million people.
And what's the challenge, or what's your challenge for getting there? What do you need to get there that you don't have today?
Money. Yeah, we're raising $1.5 million now to scale our company in Kenya. With that 1.5 million, it's mostly to develop the carbon credit project. That requires a lot of data analysis, data collection. We need to invest in our sales team. We currently have 15 people on the ground in Kenya. We want to triple that so that we are able to serve rural women in all countries all over Kenya. And then we want to start local manufacturing in Kenya. So this moment we are manufacturing this in Indonesia, and also our filters. Their housing is also manufactured in Indonesia, which means that we're shipping a lot of empty space. So we'll continue manufacture our filter element, our hardware in Indonesia. But then in Kenya, we would like to start manufacturing this locally. My dream is even that we can manufacture the base and the lid from recycled plastic, so that we really become a circular product. But that will be for the next stage. Now I'm trying to close this $1.5 million first. But also what you also need for further growth is corporate partnerships. Mm-hmm. In both Indonesia and Kenya, schools do not provide drinking water to their students. Yeah, can you imagine? We just have a glass of drinking water, and when you go to school, many schools don't have that. So we aim to impact 7.5 million students in Indonesia, and therefore we're looking for corporate sponsors. We have a plan to develop a partnership with the Ministry of Education, where the schools will pay 50% of the product, but we're looking for corporate sponsors that are able to sponsor the other 50% of the product.
That's great. Thank you. That's great.
And Shiv, we've probably got time for one, maybe two questions if you're quick.
Lisa, one comes across quite a few of similar looking products. They may not be the same of what your filters can do. How does your filter really stand out? Is it the efficacy? Is it the cost? Because in my experience, I've come across almost 200, 300 such filters.
Yeah, if you go to the WHO and look for household water treatment systems, you see that the products that have been certified by the WHO are manufactured by Northern companies. And those products are hardly not available for lower income households. So that's first, certification by the WHO, the quality product. Then our product is designed through a human-centered design process with the women in Indonesia, and they wanted volume. So we have 16 liters of contaminated water, and then we have a stock of 16 liters of purified with water. So this means that you only have to fill in the upper container once, and then mostly people fill it at night, and then the next morning you have 16 liters of purified water. The other products on the market, they have like 6 liters in the upper container and 10 here, which means that women have to work again by filling up, the container and making sure, they have enough water for their families. So it's volume, it's quality because of the WHO, and then it's durability. Our filter lasts up to 3 years. Yeah, and it costs only $20 in Kenya. The other products on the market, they only last for 6 months. At the end of the day, it means that actually their running costs are much higher than the water purified by Nazava, which is like only $0.007 per liter or $7 per 1,000 liter. There's no other product on the market that provides $7 that can purify 1,000 liter for just $7.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, Tom. I really want to ask this question. I love this product. And congratulations. I love the idea of having women workers, and also because no water, no life. I think it's a fantastic product. But I also look at your submissions that you're saying that your product is half of the price, half of the price of your competitors. Would you think of turning your competitors as your investors, that solve the problem and get the funding and produce better product, cheaper products? Yeah.
Oh, that's always something that can be discussed.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think SDG 6 is way below track. We're not going to get there, and we need to have develop more partnerships and bond our knowledge. We know how to reach lower impact households. Those people probably know other things more probably with regard to marketing. It's always good to consider.
I think your product can actually meet the requirement of green and social bond as well. There are quite a number of fundraising instruments that you can think of. Yeah.
No, please drop me a line. Product. Any suggestion is welcome.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lisa. And now for our final entrepreneur of this session, Norah Magero, CEO of Drop Access. Over to you, Norah.
Thanks so much, Tom. I hope you can hear me and everybody else. I'm Norah Magero. I am Kenyan. I am a mom. I like identifying as a mom because my career has so much to do with me being a mom. So what happened 5 years ago is that I quit my very lucrative engineering job. I moved to be with my family in a rural community in Kenya, in Eastern Kenya, a place called Makindo. Then I gave birth to my daughter and I became a mom. What I really didn't anticipate is I had challenges trying to get her vaccinated because of where I lived. The clinic that was closest, that was actually supposed to provide the vaccine, sometimes didn't have the vaccines available. And most of the reasons were if there is a blackout, they spoil. If there's some vaccines, they can't actually stock at the facility because they don't have the capacity to stock it. And what will happen is they'll turn us away and tell us, hey, come another day or go to another facility. So as Norah, I could actually come another day, plan vaccination very well. But then I noticed quickly that some of the women I used to go to the clinic with were never coming back. If you look deeply, you find that this is possibly a missed opportunity for any child below the age of 10 to be fully vaccinated. And this actually translates to young people are going to transition into, well-adjusted and healthy adults in the society. That fails to happen when they fail to get all their proper vaccination by the time they are 10. And some of the reasons why this was constantly recurring is because of that lack of access, lack of energy access, lack of access to facilities to actually store these vaccines. So I got down as an engineer. I felt like this was quite unacceptable and decided to come up with a product called VaxiBox. So VaxiBox is a portable solar vaccine refrigerator. And the beauty about VaxiBox is the portability aspect, because it can easily be mounted on a bicycle, a motorbike, a boat, so that these vaccines are kept in the VaxiBox, kept in the right temperature, between +2 and +8 degrees, but also quickly deployed to the mothers wherever they are, so that we reduce these missed vaccinations as much as possible. But then beyond it being a portable refrigerator, it's IoT, it's a smart fridge. So another thing that I found out when we were doing a bit of human-centered design and lots of research is that during reporting days once a month, where the healthcare workers actually do go to report on the state of vaccination at their facility, they'll actually cook the data. They cook the temperature, they cook some other stock data, which is such a problem, because if we're not able to track that my daughter got vaccinated with polio vaccine that was kept at the right temperature and it wasn't in nature, and actually it was in nature, that's a missed opportunity still. So we made VaxiBox pretty smart so that it's able to collect various data sets and also to promote the traceability for healthcare products. Now, people have told us that why are you manufacturing a fridge locally here in Kenya? You can always ship it to whatever place and make it more affordable. But then I always tell them that if you look at the infrastructure here for manufacturing in Kenya, there is still so many gaps, and hence we need to build our local manufacturing infrastructure. And I've seen how I've been able to employ so many people in the line of development and even prototyping and even just coming up with the first version of VaxiBox refrigerator. But then also we've unearthed literally a wave of so many innovations coming in. Now we have IoT and AI developers working with us, wanting to work with us just to figure out like, how do we actually build this product to be more robust, but then how do we make it an African-born product that is locally made within the continent, that equally still performs as the global to the global standard that are required by the WHO, the UNICEF, and the Pfizer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Norah. Very nicely done. Welcome back our judges. Shiv, I'll come to you first on this one.
Norah, I love the idea of African product for an African continent. I think that's the best way to do it. I think too many Indian products are sold in Kenya. I really I wish more of entrepreneurs like you. My question, Norah, is what's your competition? Because increasingly vaccines, many vaccines don't need the kind of temperature control. And secondly, many manufacturers, including during the COVID time, shipped not just solar, but a variety of methodologies to keep the vaccines cool for days. So what's your competition like?
Thanks so much, Shiv. So in the market, there are 49 pre-qualified refrigerators or other cold storage technologies that have been passed by WHO to be able to keep these vaccines cold. And also there's been an up in adoption and even a rollout of technologies, mostly from the big pharma due to COVID. Now we come to notice that still these technologies are pretty expensive because they're still being shipped into the country. You find that they're 3,500, that's 3,500 USD per technology, and they're mostly suitable for the larger tier technology. So the biggest gap comes to the lower tier technology, that the level 2s, the level 3s healthcare facilities, that as much as more technologies are going to be brought into the country, it doesn't still make economic sense for them to be rolled out to them. So they're still dependent on the ice, what are they called? The ice packs as well as the cold box. That, unfortunately, that's still part of our competition, that we're competing with the cold box and the ice packs, but it doesn't do the monitoring aspect. So we're scrapping out the ice box and we're bringing something that will keep these vaccines for days cold in real time, but then also it's much more affordable since our fridge is 2,000 USD.
Right, plus the fact that you can track the temperature is very important. In an ice box, you don't know what's happening. So thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Norah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shiv. Esther?
Yeah, well, you talk about the challenges. So what about the opportunities that you can scale up or expand the usage? I mean, the vaccine, box is very useful now, but hopefully very soon COVID is over. Then how are you going to make use of it to expand, the usage and scale up? Yeah.
Very true. So another fact that I learned that Kenya has pretty much covered its base when it comes to energy access. So that's not a really big issue. But then most of the orders for refrigerators come from the rest of Africa. And I'm slowly discovering there's still a bigger burden. It doesn't have to be a problem. It doesn't have to be the child-based vaccines. It is the oxytocin for pregnant mothers that need it. It is the insulin. It is the blood for transfusion. There's still a range of products that still need cold storage, even beyond Kenya, and that is where our target market lies and where the biggest opportunity lies. But then for us, we still have to find a large-scale manufacturer who can still make this within the continent, within Kenya, or even we do a hub and spoke model where we are making parts here in Kenya or wherever, but then they're being assembled in Nigeria, create more jobs, run industries there, and still just meet the impact that we intend to.
Wonderful, Norah. You're doing great work.
Thank you so much.
Cheryl, final thoughts and comments from you.
Yeah, really wonderful, Norah. So I'd love to ask this question. If you could fill in what I'm going to ask you, if only I had known that earlier, what would you do?
Good question.
Oh my God, I shouldn't have done engineering. Let's start from there. Anyway, if I had known much earlier about Maxibox, there's some things I will surely have built from scratch. Seriously, they're already off the market, off the shelf products that are available that could have made our product much more affordable, easier to deploy, much more compliant. But we ended up wasting so much time building them and also taking up so much of the resources. Yeah, if I had known much earlier, I would have started this work 5 years ago. That's the problem. I probably will have survived or have pivoted to something else because of the depth of it now. But I'm sure Shiv can share a few notes on how to survive this period.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Tom,
you.
if there is a quick second, Norah, where the health workers involved, I was fascinated with the gender angle that you brought in, Norah. Were the health workers at all involved in the design of these boxes?
Yes, they were. They were involved with the design of the boxes, the community health workers. We did a pilot in Masai controversies in Kajiado County, Kenya, and we saw door-to-door vaccination, Manyata to Manyata vaccination being done with health workers, and they gave us insights like, oh, this is my challenge, or this is my problem, or it's too heavy. And then also the women were involved in part of it because they're like, how will you want to receive the vaccine, or where will you want to receive the vaccine? Do you have to follow you? Do you have to put it at the market? Like what actually makes sense? The kids were involved because then they guide us like at what age should we probably design our IoT solution to be able to detect like you can't miss these vaccines between this period of time or these the way vaccines have been scheduled. And also the government and the WHO because they own all the rights to control vaccination about.
Brilliant. Thank you, Norah. To ask our judges a few questions, just generally. So, Shiv, you've been a judge on the MB100 now for 2 years. What's kind of struck you about how these leaders are working, and maybe what's changed over those 2 years, or what you'd like to see? Give us your kind of summary.
Thanks, Tom. What I really love is the kind of the relentless focus they've had. Rather than getting distracted. I think whether it's the vaccination or whether it's a low-cost housing, I think the focus around where they're coming from and the design elements that they've built into each of them is fantastic. The one thing I've left wondering, and Cheryl and Esther would love to hear from you, is each of these entrepreneurs have a tough job selling these ideas to the users and to the financing community. I wonder, is there a way that we can reduce their load, because many of them are probably looking at the same market but for different products, right? A water filter or a brick or any of the products that they're talking about may be required in a household in more than one way. So that just left me wondering: is there probably an entrepreneur who's going to aggregate all of this and supply to the same market? Just a thought.
We've had a comment from Fabian saying that entrepreneur is called Mother Earth. And so Cheryl, from within your perspective as obviously an academic, in our conversations, you told me a lot about what students are looking for in terms of their career path. How do you think that matches up to some of the innovations we've heard today and across the MB100?
Well, so the question that you asked, Shiv, which I loved, is, what do you notice about the entrepreneurs? And having been a judge this year, the most important thing I noticed was, first of all, what calls each entrepreneur to do what they do, because they all come from really different backgrounds. They've done a lot of things. The most important thing for me was what called them to do what they do and how they use their resources at hand, whether it's who they were, what they knew, who they knew, and being able to aim that towards what they wanted to address. In terms of our students, why I love being part of Meaningful Business is because most of our students do not get to look at business cases and businesses that are doing the scale and the impact that the entrepreneurs that I have seen, first of all, I have looked at over the years and that I saw this year. And I really use these examples, which is why I love being involved with our students, because they don't see how people are solving these problems. They want to solve, the UN Global Goals is what we focus on at our institute. And a lot of them don't know how to apply their skills, their talent, and their entrepreneurial selves towards solving them. And the examples today and that I've read in the past are the perfect examples of how our students want to understand how to solve problems, because most of them have to be solved by the people who are actually experiencing the problem set themselves. So this is why this is so inspiring. So for us, our students want to understand how to do this, they want to get involved, and these examples are brilliant.
Perfect. Thank you, Cheryl. And Esther, last question for you. And
well, not quite a question, but more like an observation. Yeah, I can see that more women are into innovation. And then, I mean, you know, historically, a lot of women, especially you have family, you tend to take a safer route for your career. But I think, you know, we can have good example here that's, you know, such as like Norah gave up a very, very well-paid, a steady job, you know, to take a chance. And I think all of them are very, you know, impressed me and convinced me that they really have the heart and the passion and the true, you know, a drive to do good. And the innovation is not out for make money, but more really to serve social good. I think, you know, that is something that is, you know, we should applaud that. Yeah. And I really wish you all well. I'm sure you will find the right match for investors and also expand on your markets.
Brilliant. That's a great way to close. So thank you to our judges, Cheryl, Esther, and Shiv. We really appreciate your time over the program and today. And well done to Fahad, Kidus, Lisa, and Norah for brilliant presentations.